jumping straight back in the game. And Sancho, I'm just trying to fix my posture, you know, get a little bit higher, get some height in my life, because I want to win more too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is blue skies, like you mentioned, and the height is proving true. And it's actually, it kind of flipped the script a little bit from FNCS trios before. We were talking about, you know, height wins games, but doesn't win championships. But we're seeing that if a team can hold on to height and cash in on those elims, you're looking at a dominant lead right now from that trio that we just took a look at, Hen, Chapix, and Janice. But Dressguard, Scramming, and Dreda, this is big for them. Like they kind of pointed out there, the analyst says, Shio, that they knew that they could kind of push themselves up, gain the distance, because we're all playing for that top 10 finish here to put your way into this semifinal stage.
Yeah, right now it's going to be two teams who are both in 11th and then 15th place. The 11th place team is
no,
completely disrespecting Void. Oh my God. And they get to have the win there, and I guess a spot in the top 10 for the moment. But man, it's getting personal now, Sancho.
Oh man, when you get hit with a dance right afterwards, that's, you know, it's personal. And it's just a way, you talked about it earlier, Shio, the conditioning that goes into it as well. People don't forget. I mean, I still remember that player that L danced on me with the donkey laugh all the way back in the summer skirmish. I'll never forget you. But right now, Esteros and Red Rush, they're saying, don't forget about us, Patrick, as they're going to have another skirmish build out here. Oh, gets put in that awkward 50-50, but Tucson now it's going to have to be traded out here slowly as the rest of the trio comes in as much as possible. And Tucson now down on all fours as much as possible. And now Zappy, Red Rush making quick work of this trio. Zappy. Ooh. Out. Over. In the blink of an eye. It happens.
Out for the moment. And it's like all these teams who are like side by side on the leaderboards, the one who's actually doing better in the day is winning. So we saw Andretta win over Steamy Stacks. They were 11th versus the 15th place that Void and Passive were in. And then over here, Snappy, who was in 17th, goes down to Red Rush, who was in 13th as well. So these guys are moving closer to a top 10. We'll see how that works. A switch up over at Stealthy Stronghold. No stealth here at all, Sancho. It's going to be straight up fire shots over and over again. Snagged once again, goes down just like game 2 and 3. It's Demon XXRR who's there to land those shots.
Yeah, in the moment here, another breakout that may be happening here. We only have 2 games left. This is match 5 of 6 for the moment here. And this kind of brings me back to the, you know, Stark Industries, you know, when the music swells up, it kind of changes the way you approach this area. And that's my always fear of kind of playing into Stealthy Stronghold is there's just so many nooks and crannies that people could sneak up on you. You have this fortress wall that is, you have to go up and over if things go down, but people could just literally sit up there and send beams, send a snipe right through, and it's just a dangerous POI. And I'm surprised that people are going to fight over it. But hey, when you see so many of the other teams and other POIs being taken, sometimes you just don't have a choice. You just got to go with what you got to get. Yeah,
there's everyone's always like, you know, just move to somewhere uncontested. It's like, man, I would, but there's no space on the map.
Every inch. I mean, Reese kind of broke down that Cammy split. Even those routes. I mean, we always talk about scavenger routes being variable. Every player that you see here, folks, understands every nook and cranny. They know where every loot chest will be. They know where every type of like mushroom in the forest, they kind of forage. They know exactly what character quest that they can do to get gold. This is what we're talking about of so many hours of practice, or so many hours of VOD reviews of looking at the replays all coming into fruition here in the FNCS stage. And that is what we're seeing. You're seeing like this, like you like to call it, Shale, like a 3-level layer chess game.
Yeah, honestly, it's like 3D chess. But at the same time, even if you know how to play one of those chess games, it doesn't mean you're going to play it right the next time, right? Like Levin pointed out, for Kaizen and their trio, yes, they've had good games, then suddenly we tune in with them and they're down on Storm Surge. This game as well looking kind of iffy moving into Slurpy Swamp. Looks like their game and their game plans getting stretched out thin or changed up on the fly. We have a random winner now. I don't think I've seen Shaco's Granjo and Demon XSRR actually went out Stealthy Stronghold this definitively before and spend this much time in here. So people still experimenting game number 5 right before the day does wrap up, and changes are happening. Just because you're doing something well doesn't mean it's going to stay that good for the rest of the day.
I think you definitely have to do that. I mean, you're still accruing the series points to kind of put you forward into semifinals if you do well. So that's what all these players are playing for at the bottom of the board. It's not necessarily top 10 gets you in that guaranteed seat situation, but you still have so much to figure out as well to carry into the next week that we have here. This is just the first of many qualifiers that we have here, and I cannot wait till we get to the very end, but the focus is going to be right here, right now in these last two matches of who's going to be able to get in that top 10. Nikov, Alpha, and Blaster had to cross so many times with Mr. Savage and Swordways, and they are now on the north side of the Coliseum. As I'm just surprised by, we're seeing teams like in weird places that we normally in other FNCS, like you see like a rhythm, like you see teams fighting over and over again, even on rotates, but we've been seeing these prominent premier teams making some very aggressive, and that shows you how awesome the mobility here is in center. You have the 0-point crystals, which we haven't brought up yet, the 0-point fish as well, and as the sand tunneling, getting people all over the map, definitely here in dead center. And for me personally though, when you're gonna bring it down to this fight here, Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, I personally don't like fighting here in Coliseum. You can't build in most places. There's a little awkward like half walls all over the place. The rails get in your way, and it goes down to real like box fighting, but at the same time is you may turn like to cover yourself on the wall and it doesn't place because you got that half wall situation.
It's nice to say post it up there then, right? Because then if every team knows it's bad to fight, they'll more so look for tags. Getting tags is huge for the progression of your game, remember, for search. And yeah, different look.
Look at them. They're pushing out south this time. Last time we saw them go up to Stealthy Stronghold. I think they're testing where can they win a trio fight, where they can engage with someone and wipe them out quickly. If you are in an engagement, you're gonna have to wrap up that fight in about a minute, because once you get past that minute, not only have to deal with the rotation, but you're looking at a lot of investment in mats. But iDrop and Savage and Tayson know that Paco and Rasco, they already left. They know exactly, and this is a first taste of the use of the beef boss to upgrade their inventory.
Yeah, they're gonna go for a few upgrades, a few tactical shotguns, I believe, from this POI to get, correct me if I'm wrong, I see.
Yes.
I think one in iDrop's body, but I think the biggest thing these guys are doing this week is just vibing. They're looking, just like you said, at the game state of the game, how rotations to different drops work. One of the top trios expected to come in today. They were third place in round 3, down round 4, 21st. So definitely playing over aggressive, looking to see what they can do. Ryan Lanouf and Jaspe, once again, last FNCS kind of rocky. This one, they have some confidence coming into week 1. What is the game plan? How will they get into that top 10? That's the question. We were talking about Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha as well. They move over out of the Coliseum back to what Dusty Depot is now. And the Remnants, these guys are 10th place currently. So they are the ones kind of holding everyone back, hopefully for their case.
You just
and getting top 10 like today.
A nostalgia splash, bro. Like the Dusty Depot. Remember when the meteor was like floating over it for a long time?
Frozen in time, yeah.
Frozen in time. But now we're seeing, oh no, the Playwell boys, now their movement up the leaderboard may be frozen just for a brief moment. The freeze is on from Michael, Verox, and Mexi. And we've been seeing these rotations happen all the time, but now they're getting into it, and what a great start for them so far. I mean, this is going into the last 2 frames, but they have 74 points, and now you're seeing some new elements come into the fray of the fire. Now lights up builds, and you have the Dragon Breath shotgun, and of course we haven't seen it yet. If anyone could hit the Dragon Sniper, I would love to see it out and about. But I was saying, like, that fire actually caused a lot of damage into the late game in that previous match. So many teams had to get out of the low ground because builds were on fire. So it doesn't take much to ignite the entire build, and it lights on the grass as well. But now we're watching Red Rush kind of loop around completely. We saw them fight on the other side of the Slur Factory, but they went up all these fishing holes, no doubt, and they're making a nice like loop around to avoid, looks like Savage and Drop in that trio.
Yeah, they'll be on rotation. Many people will be walking by, some high profile trios and people on top sides. My question as this fight breaks out, they're going back to Verox, never mind, hold up. Savage with a snipe. Doesn't matter if it's south, northwest, or east. If your head is near his sight line, that sniper bullet's grabbing it. Shakes them down too. He'll find out where the rest of the trio is.
Wow.
And these guys are looking to wrap it up.
That is an old school Skull Trooper out and about. That means you all know Savage has been around the scene for a long time. We're rocking the Skull Trooper. We talk about the flex of the axe of champions. When you got that Skull Trooper on your backside, you know you mean business. You know you've been through all the metas, and you know that you can hit your snipes, kid. and Savage and Tayson and iDrop take out Red Rush in a blink of an eye. And dude, I think they're gonna figure out that, hey, they could make it all the way down here from Salty Towers. They could go all as far as north into Stealthy Stronghold. They have options in there, and they could find storm tags, and more importantly, they could find those elims.
But at the same time, they're probably wondering what the heck is going on. Why is Savage in my POI? This might be one of the reasons, right? Like, they're not at the top side of the leaderboard. They're trying out new things. For the people at the top, though, they want to end up staying there. 164 points for Hen Janice and Chapix. I feel like they, unless something crazy happens, are guaranteed the top 2 spots.
You know what I gotta say? I don't know if it's worth procrastinating your qualification. You got to get in. Get in. It's right here. It's right now. It's right in front of you. You made it this far. You played multiple days. Now is your chance to get into that top 10. Kind of relax and watch what everybody's doing. VOD review as easy as much as possible. Watch the broadcast. Understand what teams are doing in your drop spot, and kind of get ready for the final, for the semifinals. So, hey. But now they're in about, they could do it here. They could have a pop-up game. We talked to 11 and Reese at the Analyze This, said anything could happen when it comes to this format, especially with elims, they could pop off. So now a lot of the teams that are on the outside looking in for the top 10, having 2 matches, and you could definitely do it, as we've been seeing some big points coming in from a lot of the trios that we have here. Look at that. 1100 Storm Surge damage overhold. They've been working this match, and they've been working this lobby here, Shayo.
Yeah, they have a contract to keep holding the W key. At the same time, no matter how much damage they do, well, maybe held on to it a little bit too long. Savage dropping down with a lever action, though. Purple variety, and his plays are epic too. Lanoop on the backside almost gets shot down, but not going to be there just yet. Savage with just 1 elim is not going to have to clutch out. iDrop's not going to be a factor in this fight either. Low HP, another shot. Savage is in 1v3 mode right now, and it's not during a storm fight, so it's even more scary. This is not a man who's doing this out of desperation. He's pushing you because he wants to. And oh my goodness, he's not stopping. These guys could disengage, go for that reboot as well after they grab it, but here is the play. They are, I guess, doing it. It's a disengage. There we go. You grab the extra shotgun, they're going for the reboot.
Yeah, going for the reboot, and gonna have another fight over then, but you know that sound of the reboot van is gonna alert everybody else that's along the Slurpy Swamp here. Is like, hey, just someone walking around with not a lot of mats, but I think Savage picked up the purple lever action shotgun, and you just see Queasy out in the distance, so it could be a matter of moments we see Can Savage trio get back into the fight. The tornado that they are on right now, the terror that they're on right now, the sandstorm action, whatever kind of natural disaster that you want to bring into the fray. They're out there and they're getting a lot of storm surge. And actually, I wanted to bring this up. Kinzel Waking Deceptos, very consistent today. You're looking at their placements, they're looking very strong, and they're getting 40 limbs, and they have about a 3rd place, 4th place, 6th place finish, and so close to racking up that 3rd power placement points. So if they could just get a little bit better, I mean, no doubt they're going to most likely qualify. But that team, everyone has to keep an add there to the list of teams that could win it all going forward.
No, absolutely. Like, you know, my therapist actually texted me during all this craziness. I was saying, how do I handle this European action? She was like, hey, you know, watch Kinzel, Deceptos, and Wakey today, because they're keeping things consistent. They're playing their still real play style. They're not going kind of weird, doing things they wouldn't normally do. They're still kind of just playing from Coral Castle, rotating and playing their end game. It's a nice kind of set point I can always look back to and understand that I'm not going crazy watching these guys go so weird and so different off of their POIs. Like, for example, we're watching Frey right now, but we saw Verox in a fight post Dirty Docks on top of a mountain, forcing Dragon Breath shots, right? You were breaking it down, Sancho. They don't usually do that. They just go for the surge. They chill, dip up mountain to mountain. We don't usually see them in mid-game engagement. At the same time, we're seeing Savage, the Slurpy Swamp off of Salty Towers. Like, it's really different this week for EU. It's a lot more aggressive. And the aggressivity is honestly paying off. The experimentation, I think all these trios are learning a lot about how the rest of the map is operating, how fights look from POI to POI. It just sucks for a lot of these passive trios like Marine, Jasper, Lanoof, like Raxo and Queasy. If they don't get their perfect game, if things don't go to plan and Savage is knocking down their door, if Payson's there to pitch with it, it spells trouble. They're not as confident in those fights.
And it's another engagement. It's the second fray into this fight, the second battle that's happening between two. Second skirmish from Lunev's trio going up against Savage's trio. Last time Lunev's trio was able to hold off Savage's trio for a bit. You know, a big time. I mean, there was a huge snipe. Savage was literally going in with liver action, and he was no scoping in that box fight. I mean, that's the kind of things that Savage was doing. And I think Savage at the end of the day was like, hey, if I get a nice clip out of this, at least I'll go ahead and post it somewhere. I can see the thumbnail right there that Savage was going for. But hey, sometimes crazy mad experiments can get you into some insane inventions and insane results, as we've seen the gas can play coming out here, and Wave Advise here hears that crazy bang out of nowhere, and Advise just barely survives that engagement. We've been seeing, I saw on social media, a 5 gas can play from the NA West boys, causing some destruction. So hey, no matter what you have, you can see in the inventiveness, the experiments from all our Fortnite pros paying off, and maybe you could take some of these strats for you at home, but hey, you got to try to execute it and practice it as much as possible, because there's a difference from a pro doing it and someone who's just learning the ropes.
Yeah, sometimes they always say don't try this strat at home. You have the opportunity to try it up.
You can
in arena or whatever script, you can try it up, but you know, I don't guarantee anything.
No,
this strat though, let's break it down for Raxo, Paco, and Queasy, right? It's always more so like a defensive ship, and they want to make sure their hull never gets cracked, that they're always sailing on the ocean until they get to a late zone. But man overboard, Raxo gets shot out.
Throw
he
the
wasn't
life
in the build. They'll get the revive. There was a little bit of a life raft there, so they'll get him back on the ship, hopefully into the end game as well. They're isolated. They're on their own little travel spot, their own journey, but 5th game outside the zone, have to kind of burn a few heals for Raxo as well. It's looking kind of shaky on the ship.
Yeah, and that's also gonna, you talked about that defensive like fortress that they built there. It's gonna hurt them on the rotation. At the same time, as you see that they're about 100 above, so that's not looking really good as we're getting into that 4th zone that's about to close here, get into that 5th zone, the half in and half out. But this is a team that I feel like a lot of people did not have on the radar. I mean, they're pushing at the Hydro 16 down, and they're on the close on top of the board. But another team that's on close to the board is Kenzel, Deceptos, and Wakey. They're just on the outside of the top 3, number 4 going into this match here, and they're looking really solid. But look at that. It's so interesting to see so many people playing the outskirts, because you could tell they're just gambling for that 5th zone. They're all in the outskirts. No one's in the middle. They're all gambling. What you see, Shy?
I see people losing some gambles. Noah Riley going down in the feed and gets completely eliminated. At the same time, Hen went down as well. Yes, we tuned back in with Janice and Chapix, now down a teammate. Now down the option to control height as well. The only way really any trio has been winning so far. So how many more points can they get, and can they stay in the lead is the question. Once again, Advise, his game plan also kind of interrupted, as somehow Sancho, Savage, Jason, and iDrop are alive.
The way they've been playing so reckless, there's no, they have no business being in this side right now. They have no business being up, but hey, sometimes skill can overcome what's up, like, I guess, analyzing, you know, like what's
it's hard, man. I want to make claims too. I want to break it down, but they're literally just shooting whatever they can see. iDrop going for it as well, finally getting punished once again, I guess. You know, he's been knocked down a few times, been at 20 HP a few times. It doesn't even matter if they don't have a team, though. Janice and Chapix have gone for a higher position, and they're still looking to control the lobby.
And this is the strength of their position right here. Even though they are not at full strength in their trio, Janice and Chapix are close to sitting at height right now, but when you see that when you're sitting at height, you have the opportunity to do one bouncer and you head right over. But we saw just a brief moment. There is also another team that's already sitting dead center, no doubt, up a couple of layers from Jess right now. Jess is going to go ahead and connect, and they might know something that we don't know here, Shio.
I mean, they definitely have like that usual exam of holding height. You know, what questions we have to answer to keep it and hold on to it. But there's a new test now, a test of observation for everyone else in the lobby. Can they tell that height is only just 2 people strong, that they're down a teammate? The first person to solve that question, to kind of ace that test, has such a huge advantage of maybe even taking height before that 7th zone. And then as we saw with the stat, almost have a 90% chance of winning the game. So who will notice first that height is afflicted? Will Taste and Savage and iDrop keep playing aggressive? So many crazy questions to ask and answer this game.
Yeah, I cannot wait for 11 and Reese to break down this savage run, by the way. But this is the consistent run that I've been talking about. Kenzel, Deceptos, Wakey having about that 4 average elims right now, well, 2 right now, and they have very front zone priority in the storm circle, so they could kind of make their way. They're going to elect to stay in this mid layer here, go up a little bit just more in that layer switch as much as possible. Now we have a nice overview as we're seeing Janice take a lot of beams as well here, and Janice actually goes down on the top right, and Savage, Jason, and Drop are now going for that big height. And wow, Janice gets taken out on the bottom right of the screen, but here it is, the reckless kids out here making a lot of noise, and they're pushing for height.
Pushing straight up for height. It's a two-way fight all the way up top. Squeeze on top of high drop, lands a few shots. Savage goes down. Snazy stays alive. 2 teammates that have full shields versus kind of a fragmented overall trio from the other side. This is absolutely crazy. They're build fighting straight to the skies, up towards the limit. Jason is now up top. Snazy down below. Somebody sandwiched. And iDrop's out of builds. He can't do anything. He's solo fighting for height. This is too crazy. Oh my goodness. Can iDrop find a refresh and maybe see Jason up top? He bounced it off. And Snazy's down too.
It's a tree.
God. What am I watching in EU? It's absolutely a circus all the way on high ground. And past that on mid, everyone's consistently trying to survive. They're not even aware, Sancho, of the antics up top on the server.
No, they'll probably find out later on social media, but hey, that is the craziness for height. You invest way too hard. They held on to it. Sometimes you just got to sell as much as possible, and that was definitely a soul right now. But let's go back into just what's happening here, folks. We got the match.
Can happen here. Yeah, and what can happen is really what these guys need to be doing is learning from Hen, Janice, and Uguay. I say Uguay because his name's Uguay, but it's Chapix up at the top. You know, they're securing that height early on in that 5th kind of zone, and they're